Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. We're live. So welcome everyone. As always, there's always technical problems. So welcome to what's hopefully going to be the first of many Learning with Loose series, episodes, whatever you want to call them, streams, hangouts, parties, you know, whatever works for you. So how is everyone today? Are we having a good week? Woo, Code Stackers here. Welcome. So the idea of Learning with Loose is we're going to learn something, we're going to laugh along the way, and it's going to be in different languages. So today's wonderful stream is going to be all about Python, and I have a very, very special guest with us today. Our very, very special guest is the one and only Mark Smith, who wrote this series. So we're going to go through it together. We're going to see what's going to happen. It could be Mark messes it up. It could be Loose learns something. Who knows? But welcome to the stream, Mark.
Hi, Luce. Thank you for having me.
Hey, welcome on board. You are our very first special guest. So how are you? How is everyone in chat today?
I'm good. Been having a good day. Trying to learn how you did that falling leaves effect.
It's cool, isn't it? Yeah, I've been at an awesome hackathon this week, watching people do really cool things with Mongo and other technology. So I've gone from watching other people learn to now I get to learn.
Awesome. So do you get asked any difficult questions?
No, Max on our team took most of the hard questions. He was the absolute MVP, going on one-to-one calls with a load of people and sorting out all their problems. So yeah, shout out to Max for that. I was just there. As I joked when I got to the venue on Tuesday, I'm just there to look pretty.
Yeah, Max really knows his stuff.
I
tagged him on Twitter earlier this week to help answer a question online. So he's my back.
Yeah, there's always those people, aren't there, that just know so much. It's like and I think we're very lucky to have people like that, because when you panic, you know, there's always going to be someone who can step in and go, "Oh, there you go. Here's the answer."
Oh, totally. We have a great team for that. We
do. Oh, so this is I like this. So I'm a fan of alliteration, which is why this is the Learning with Loose stream. Learning, laughter, and languages. So I like the fact that this was written on the 20th of May, 2020. That was a day after my birthday, actually. So hopefully that's an omen that this is going to go well.
Oh, I
see lots of people in chat. We've got Lauren's here, Joel's here. Is it Ado? I don't want to get his name wrong.
Ado,
okay. I know names are hard. You know, naming things is hard, but names are also hard. And the last thing you ever want to do is get it wrong. Like, obviously, I'm Luce, but sometimes people call me Lucy because of the E on the end. And technically, that's what my name's short for, but no one ever calls me that. So, I personally understand the value of just trying to get people's names right. Calp's here, Nick's here. Oh, we've got some nice comments here coming in saying that PyMongo is the best driver they've used for NoSQL. Good job, team.
That's a rather lovely sentiment. I'll pass that on to the driver team.
Well, what a great start to the stream. We're already getting compliments of the driver. So I guess we should get started. Hopefully we've got lots of things to learn today.
I hope so.
Well, yes.
What's your favorite programming language normally? Like, what's your go-to programming language?
Probably C#.
Okay.
Kind of like when I was in my late teens, like I was a bit of a loner and like my mental health wasn't in a great place. But I went to college to do an IT course, and we did like a programming 101 module in VB6.net. And like I just really like programming because it's just really logical. Because I've used computers most of my life, and it was like, whoa, I've gone from nothing to this. But a friend in the class was like, oh, you know, VB6.net's rubbish in comparison to C#. Come on, I'll teach you C#. So he took me under his wing to teach me it. And then from there, you know, we'd hang out as well as around all of that. So I actually had made my first friends at 19 thanks to C#. So yeah, C# is personally my favorite language.
So I imagine Python seems a bit kind of playing fast and loose with types and things. If you're used to C#.
But this is what's fun, though, isn't it, about learning, is that you can try different things because, when you know, it's not like I'm suddenly going to be writing a Python enterprise application. So and my C# not the best code ever. I've not been a proper developer for years. I was before this job, which for those of you who don't know, this is my 5th week in the job. So I'm a MongoDB newbie as well. So a lot of this stuff I'm learning, really genuinely learning for the first time.
Awesome.
Which is always exciting.
Well, hopefully when you find the mistakes in this blog post, then I can help answer the questions.
Let's hope so. But I've been, for those of you that don't know, we have something called MongoDB University, which has free courses. But one of the things that we get to do as part of our onboarding is actually take some of these courses. So I've been getting to learn all about MongoDB, and it's pretty cool. Because genuinely, I'm honest about this. I didn't know much about the product. I'd heard of it, but I didn't know much about, never really used Mongo before I started. But now I'm like, oh, this is cool. I like this. So I really am learning a lot as we go. Yeah,
I had a similar reaction learning MongoDB. It was like, why didn't I use this before?
And Jason's much more friendly than trying to write SQL. Don't at me or whatever it is the cool kids say. I know some people have opinions on that, but personally, I just think it's much more readable. And for me, I have my own personal Twitch stream as well sometimes, and it's kind of the imposter syndrome battleground, I call it, because getting confidence to code can be really hard, and anything that can be a little bit scary or overwhelming makes you feel stupid a lot of the time. So I just really like the fact that MongoDB and the NoSQL document stuff just seems much more welcoming, and it's in comparison, it's a bit like a warm hug, come on in, we've got space for you. So this is super exciting. Oh, we've got lots of people here coming in with their languages. Yes, we've asked the question, what's your favorite language? We've got Java. Who doesn't like Java? So Fabio's coming in there with Java. I went to university to study software engineering, and Java was one of those languages that was enterprisey and free. So we all got taught Java. We've also got Python, Go, and Rust. Nice.
They're really speaking my language, that person, because Python, not quite in that order. It'd be Python, Rust, and Go. But those are my favorite 3.
I don't really know Python, Go, or Rust. So... But this is why we've got a Learning Maloo series, because I can literally learn all these things live on stream with all our friends that are watching.
This is going to be awesome. Yes. You have to invite me back for the Rust streams, although I'm not actually very good at Rust. So
we've got Mohit saying Kotlin and Scala. Nice.
Both
I've not written much Kotlin. I'm a bit of a .NET mobile developer on the side. Emphasis on the bit of. But so I've done a little bit of native Android back in the day, but that was Java rather than Kotlin. And I've done Scala in a previous job. I've been a bit of a polyglot in my career, which is nice. Nice. But cool. So keep it coming, friends. All your favorite languages. So I suppose we should stop talking and start coding, really. Streams are never productive, but that's the best part. We just talk to our new friends in chat and have a good time.
Hopefully we can keep a mix of the two.
Well, yes, true. Okay, so first things first, we have prerequisites. Always good in a blog post. There's nothing worse, is there, than when you go to do something and it turns out that you need all these tools that they've not told you about. Oh,
yep.
Joel says he's a hardcore JavaScript developer. Nice.
Yikes, that sounds intimidating. But at least I know who to go to with my JavaScript questions now, because we all have to write JavaScript at some point, don't we?
Joel, I don't know if you've seen, actually, but Joel's done some really cool things. He's done something called CLI slides, which is a library that allows you to actually make presentation slides in the CLI.
Oh, that sounds very cool.
I'll do it to everyone, but it's I think, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, Joel, but I think it's cli-slides.com. I'll share it. There we go. Yeah. If I'm wrong, Joel, feel free to correct me. But it looks really cool. So that's really cool. I saw it the other day in a talk that he gave, and I just thought it was really cool. So Joel knows JavaScript. Joel. Cool. So we've got prerequisites. So we need Python 3, run fine on version 3.6 or above. Well, let's find out what I've got, shall we? if I do Python 3 dash version, I have 3.79, which should be fine.
Oop, you'll be fine.
Yep. Everything should be zoomed in, but if anyone watching is struggling to see and needs me to zoom in on anything at any point, please shout up. We are watching, and I will make sure to zoom in. Because I know that some people like to tune in from a phone, and sometimes it can be quite difficult to read from a phone. So we've got code editor of choice. We've got PyCharm or VS Code with a Python extension. Well, I'm a Microsoft MVP in my spare time, which means that I am a Microsoft fan person. So VS Code for the win.
Excellent.
So if we come to extensions, and let's just see if I've got the Python extension installed. I should do, but I might be wrong. Yeah, we're good. I've got it. Nice.
Did you know there's actually a MongoDB extension for
I did.
VS Code?
It's installed in my work VS Code, but not my personal VS Code.
Same here.
Yeah, but those that don't know, if you just go into the marketplace and type MongoDB, there is a MongoDB for VS Code extension that you can install, which allows you to browse your collections and everything right there in VS Code, which can be super helpful. Yeah, we all love productivity. I know I do. I'm sad. I've even taken courses on it. And so, yeah, anything that could save you time, you can start developing for MongoDB, and it'll be right there. We may even make use of it today if we ever get around to writing some code.
Sorry, that was my fault.
No. It's a very valid point. It's always helpful to know. So we've got what we need. So we've got the prerequisites. That's a nice big tick.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Okay, we need to start a cluster in Atlas. It's a good start. So for those of you that don't know, Atlas is our cloud-based MongoDB as a service. It's super cool. I don't know about you, Mark, but I can't be bothered to have to deal with a load of servers locally. If someone else can sort it for me, go for it.
No, I've given talks where I've given a rough introduction to managing a cluster yourself, and then the punchline is essentially you should really use Atlas. It's a lot easier, and it generally works out cheaper. It's more flexible. We can scale it up and scale your cluster up and down as you require, and there's a generous free tier. So
wonderful, which is what we're going to use today.
Yeah, totally.
So I happen to know that if we go to cloud, nope, I reinstalled my browser the other day, so I have very little history. MongoDB.com. I can copy that and pop it in the chat for everyone. There you go. Go to here and we should be able to log in. So you can try it for free. I'm going to sign in, but we are going to create everything that's free. We're going to sign in as me. Of course, I could sign in for work, but I'm not going to. Because I'm going to show you that it's all free. So long it takes to switch. Ooh.
Did you bring that up, Luce?
No, I did not. But can you convert? That is a good question, Mark. Can you convert?
I mean, ultimately, of course you can. You need to take the data out of MySQL. As far as I'm aware, there's not anything to automatically convert between a MySQL database and a MongoDB database. And the real reason for that is that they just have fundamentally different data models. So with a document database, you're able to store data that's related to each other within a single document in many cases, whereas you just can't really do that within a relational schema. And so you have to do some kind of mapping when you're bringing your data in. But yeah, ultimately, if you're prepared to write the sort of data conversion scripts once you've worked out your data model, then you can absolutely take your data out of a MySQL database and into MongoDB. If you're looking at learning how to model data in MongoDB, then Lauren's tutorial videos that Harsha mentioned earlier on in the Twitch chat are a really good start. I don't know if you have a link for that, Lauren, somewhere good for people to find your data modeling videos. The
university's good for that as well. I remember one of on MongoDB University, there's a M001, which is a very basics, and that touches on how you can export from things like, any SQL database and then use the import. So we're going to for like alliteration. So we're going to create a project called Play with Python.
So there is one more question from Sci-Fi Naught there about whether you can, whether MongoDB works with a REST API, and like out of the box, it doesn't. Like if you're self-hosting MongoDB, you would have to have some sort of service on the front of it. It's not a native REST API. Many people think that it is, but it isn't. It's actually a much more complicated kind of clustered streamed binary protocol that's just more efficient for talking to a cluster of databases. But if you're running it on Atlas, there is a REST feature that you can just enable on your collections that will.
Yeah, I actually learned something new this week. So one of the products that we've got is this Realm, which is a mobile database, which is really great for online and offline sync, for example. But one of the things you can actually do with Realm is using, I think it's, is it what Realm used to be called, I think. But there's a hosting. You can actually host your own website as part of Realm. I did not know that until I watched a tutorial yesterday, Tuesday. I was very impressed.
Yeah, there's some really cool features in Realm. Sometimes they take a little bit of finding. There is a GraphQL interface as well as REST.
Yes.
that was actually the question
like
that I answered on Twitter earlier in the week, that I had to make sure that Max was checking the details so that I wasn't saying things that weren't true.
Okay, so we've got to the good bit. So if you're watching me move around the browser, then what I was doing was just that because I've got my own organizations for different things on my existing account, is I was just creating a project for this. But if you're doing this as a user on the other end, this is at the point where this becomes your experience, which is building a cluster. So we can then say, hey, we want a free cluster. It's going to cost us absolutely nothing. So we want AWS. We'll pick Ireland because I'm in the UK and it's closest. We're going to leave all the rest as a default. Don't need to do anything fancy. I'm going to create it. I'm assuming that's what the instructions said. Yep. Yeah. You changed the name of the cluster, but that's okay. I'm sure we can.
I did say if you like, and just said what I've called mine. It's like, yeah, there's none of this is compulsory really.
Yeah, this is in its own project anyway, so it's okay. So Sci-Fi Naught has asked another question, which is, what kind of NoSQL database is Mongo? It is document database. So as you'll see shortly, that's building actually, we can pop to my organization. Only clusters? Yes. That's one cluster.
Incidentally, we don't tend to use the term NoSQL to describe MongoDB these days because there is a thing called the BI connector that provides a SQL interface on top of a cluster, mainly for attaching analytics software to MongoDB, analytics software that expects to talk to a relational database. So it provides a sort of relational mapping on top of MongoDB that's quite cool.
I paused it, yeah. I was just going to show what like the documents look like, but we'll get to that shortly anyway. But I don't have any clusters on this account. All my clusters are on the other one. So we'll go back to Learning with Luz. The cluster can take a couple of minutes to spin up, so let's just see how we're getting on. Yeah, still deploying our changes. But that's okay. We can do a bit of pre-reading of what's coming up. Actually, you know what? I can share something fun with our friends in chat that I started, which is I'm going to do a word cloud. So I'm not going to share the results of this word cloud if anyone puts anything naughty or non-family friendly. So be on your best behavior. But what I've created is something called a word cloud. So if you pop on there, we've asked a question, which is, what do you know so far about MongoDB? We can always expand it to also cover Python. But the idea is, as we go along, we'll pick up words that people submit about what they know so far. And as it evolves, we might see more words added. So we can just see what we're learning together at the end. Who knows? I'll try and share it regularly throughout as we move through this. If you've got any gaps or we're waiting for things to happen, we can share it again. But it's just a bit of fun. Make it a bit interactive. This isn't a read-only stream. We try and make it a bit of fun. Oh, that's cool. So, yeah, there you go. This is the Lauren's article series on moving from tables to documents, which can be quite helpful if you come from a SQL background. Sometimes I know a few people that are quite ingrained to SQL have said, "Oh, it's quite hard to come back, kind of switch between them and get your head around it." So this is a good series for that. You look deep in concentration, Mark.
Sorry, just keeping an eye on the chat.
No, it's okay. Okay, so Sci-Fi Note asks, can you run multiple JavaScript operations in a single MongoDB instance?
I'm not entirely certain I understand the question.
Yes, I was going to say. So you can. There's a Node.js driver for MongoDB, so you can interact with your MongoDB stuff from JavaScript, no problem. If you're connected, one of the ways that you can connect to MongoDB and your own cluster and the collections and things that you've got is from something called the Mongo shell, which is like command line based. That gives you the option to run, I'm pretty sure it's JavaScript syntax in there that does actually work. I don't know if it answers your question, Sci-Fi Naught, but hey, XG is here. Some of my fan club have shown up. Not my fan club, it's just my friends from my own stream. And then we've got, how do we fill out Mentimeter? Good question. So if you go to the link that I shared, I think, let's go to it myself and have a look. So you go in and does it let you vote? It should, when it takes you there, give you the option to enter words, but it's the first time I'm doing this, so who knows? We've got Wisebot dropping some links there. Salim asks, can we connect MongoDB to Elasticsearch? I believe the answer is yes to that, isn't it? I might be wrong.
Not automatically, I don't think. If you want text search in MongoDB, MongoDB Atlas supports a text search index that uses the same software behind the scenes that Elasticsearch does. So if you want free text search, then we provide that feature in Atlas.
There we go. See, this is why it's learning with Luce. I have guests because they teach me things.
The text library is called Lucene, so it's actually it's basically your nickname with NE on the end.
Yes, yeah. So it uses Lucene under the hood, but it's called Atlas Search. And you can essentially go, oh, well, I think that people are most likely going to be searching on this field in my document, so I'll index on that, and it will just make it a lot faster to search on. Hey, Rita's here as well. Woo!
Hey, Rita.
For those that don't know, Rita's my wonderful manager. Cool. So we're just getting there with these changes. It's thinking about it.
It's taking a little while, isn't it?
It doesn't normally take this long, so yeah, don't judge on that. We're just unlucky.
I think by this point I would have refreshed by now. So maybe it's finished and it hasn't updated, but I mean it should.
Might be right.
Oh no. And I should have known better, right? It's just that I'm just impatient.
It's okay. We all get like that.
But yeah, I think sometimes it takes a little while to spin up the instances if we're under heavy load and things. It's sort of a...
Okay, got another question for Sci-Fi Naught. Sci-Fi Naught's the question master today. If you remove a document from a database, does MongoDB remove it from disk? It depends what you mean by disk. If you remove a document from a database, and I guess it won't be in the database anymore. If you remove all documents from a collection, then it deletes a collection because it won't keep things that don't exist. And if you delete all collections in a database, it removes a database.
So in terms of disk, though, rather than so that there's an approach for optimizing disk usage and things that basically you don't actually delete the data from disk. You can flag it as deleted, and then MongoDB won't return it anymore. But potentially it's still on disk, and I think that is a strategy that we use behind the scenes, and ultimately the bytes will be removed at some point in the near future, but they're not necessarily purged from the disk immediately.
And then Fabio's asking, I chat here. Yes, you can.
And you are.
Well, there we go. Code with Mo hits followed. Woohoo! Thanks for the follow. We can do what my friend Layla codes it, calls chair parties.
I was doing that when the original countdown was going.
Yes. Oh, there we go. We've got a cluster.
We've got a cluster.
Okay. So, answer Salim's question before we move on to doing more of the tutorial. Are there equivalent of SQL transaction in MongoDB? Yes.
Yes.
It's
Even
one of
if
the
you had
infamous myths about MongoDB that I think stems from a long time ago, which is we don't do transactions. We do. It's just more that transactions aren't necessarily necessary because of the way it works. But if you want to understand more of that, follow Lauren's blog series. It teaches you lots of things. Cool. So, right. We've got a cluster now. Let's write some code. Oh, so we could have moved on to the next step. Read the documentation, friends, always.
Maybe I should have put that earlier.
That's okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah, showing a link there to everything you know about MongoDB is wrong. Yep. Yes, there's a lot of myths about what MongoDB is or isn't, or can and can't do. Right, so we've got to set up our environment. Okay. So we need to set up a virtual env. Nice. So there's different ways of doing it. We'll use the one included with Python. Okay. So we want to create a directory to hold it first. Okay. Well, we're in dev at the minute, so I have a Python folder because I've very briefly touched on Python before. So let's make one called okay. So we have a directory to hold it. So open it, see that directory, and then run the following command. Okay, yep. We don't. So this is saying that on certain systems you'll have to install it first. But I keep doing this.
But you won't have to.
Nope. Yay! I'm going to do this a lot. I use an Apple Magic Keyboard too constantly, even hooked up to my Windows machine. But I spent so long on Mac that I accidentally keep doing Windows and copy instead of Control copy because that's where the command button is on Mac. I
got myself a new keyboard this week.
What did you get?
Bring it up to the camera. I got a Moonlander. Oh, there you go. It's got green keys on it, so it's the green screen is affecting it. But yeah, it's in two halves. And it's got these really magic key mappings that I haven't really learned yet. So I keep access. It's not actually an Ergodox. Somebody in the chat said it's an Ergodox. It's actually a Moonlander. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, but it is messing up my typing accuracy at the moment.
Yes. A friend lent me for a little while a split keyboard. Mm-hmm. And that was super weird.
Yeah, that's what this is. That was only one half of it.
We've got another question. What is a replica set? So a replica set is basically a bunch of like nodes or little servers that form part of a set that all hold the same data on them. So it's just a way of, say there's an issue and something like part of it goes down. You don't have any downtime because other parts of the replica set will step in. So you normally have, I think it's minimum of 3, is that right? So you'd have a primary and 2 secondaries. If the primary goes down, it will just move to the secondary. There's some tech stuff that goes on behind the scenes around deciding which one becomes primary, but that is not for today. That's all part of the wonderful MongoDB University courses if you want to learn more about that. But yes, a replica set is a set of nodes that all hold the same data. This is like a good test of what I've learned in 5 weeks. Oh no, we did that. So
I've managed to divert the conversation in chat to keyboards now.
Okay, I'm guessing we've got a virtual environment. Let's have a look. Yes, okay, so we've got VM. Nice. Following on cool. Windows, okay.
Oh, good. I did put instructions for Windows. Excellent. I must have been feeling particularly diligent that day. Yes, that's right. Usually I'm blaming Passmark for something, but...
Yeah, XG makes a good point there. Managed. It's a challenge to get nerds to talk about keyboards.
I'm in at least 3 different Slacks with keyboard channels. One of them is the MongoDB Slack.
I'm not actually joining the keyboard channel. There's so many channels on our Slack that sometimes it just takes someone pointing out to you for you to discover that it exists.
Yep.
So we've done that. That ran. So we've now see here it says VM on Mac or like Unix basis, and I'm pretty sure it just has, is it VM or the base as in your like terminal? It's how you tell that you're in a VM.
It does what it does here, which is just prefix it with the name of the virtual env that you've.
I don't know if it's the same one here, but yeah, you got source.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Activate,
yes.
The source deactivate to get rid of it. Because
you don't have to source deactivate.
So. Ah, okay, yeah. On I've done this before where I was taking a Microsoft Learn Python related course, and I just had the word base, I think it was, in my terminal forever and ever, and I was like, how do I get rid of that? So yeah, I just thought while we were on this subject, I would just share with people how you get out of it afterwards.
That's actually good advice. Maybe I should have included that in the blog post.
Oh yeah, Lauren's asked a very good question, which is, what is VM, or what's a VM?
Okay, so Python traditionally only had one place to install all your libraries. And then so if you're working on one project with, say, Django 2 and another one with Django 3, you can't have both installed at the same time in the same Python installation. So a VM, which is short for virtual environment, is basically a sort of mini Python distribution that you activate or deactivate, and it's project specific. So the idea is you create one of these for the project that you're working on, and they're kind of disposable, and then you install all your dependencies into that copy of Python, and then you just activate it when you want it and deactivate it when you want to move to a different project or run a different version of Python or something like that.
Awesome. There we go. See, it's always useful to learn these things. Okay, so now we're going to start to write programs that connect it up. Oh, it's getting exciting now. So we need to install the Python driver. Okay, yep. So we've already heard about PyMongo today because we had a fan in chat of PyMongo. So we can use PyMongo, or there is there's an option as well. So if you want to write asyncio, what's asyncio? Is that asynchronous?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a different way of writing networked or sort of I/O heavy applications in Python. It's kind of the new way, but it's quite a different way of writing Python programs.
Yeah, so you can also use a library called Motor if you want to do that, but this is using PyMongo. So, and that I already like the sound of PyMongo before we've even started because someone said nice things about it. So
it's a great library, and the people who develop it are also lovely. So.
Well, that's always good. Okay, so scrolled the wrong way then. Spent way too much time on a Mac. Okay, so to install PyMongo, we need to run this command, which is saying install a Python, I guess, module from pip, which is like Python's like package manager library. And then we're saying install this server. So there's even magical copy buttons. How useful.
Can I just bring up a question the comment that Diego's made about getting the right version of Python running on your macOS machine, and the real solution to this is a tool called pyenv. So not venv, pyenv, and what that does is it allows you to have multiple installations of Python installed on your machine kind of centrally, and you can just switch between versions either globally or in a certain terminal window, or when you cd to a certain directory, it'll all run a different version of Python that's configured based on those things.
Yes.
So yeah, check out pyenv. It's a little bit fiddly, but it solves a lot of problems.
And I think it's worth it in the end, because as a Mac user as well, I know that macOS comes with a really old version of Python out of the box. So it's better to use something like Homebrew to get a more modern version, but then it gets really complicated at times. Sometimes you just run into really niche scenarios. So it sounds like pyenv is the answer.
Yep.
Oh, don't talk to me about Xcode. I write Xamarin apps in my spare time, and so Xcode is the bane of my life.
That would make a good t-shirt slogan.
There we go. It's copyrighted Diego now, so he needs to decide if we're allowed to if it's copyrighted, we're allowed to put it on a t-shirt. Okay, so we've copied that command. Let's run it now. Oh, not that one. That one. Nice. That's going to download it all.
So it's worth noting that we're installing PyMongo with this SRV thing in square brackets, which isn't a very obvious thing when you're going through the documentation about how to install the PyMongo driver. So what this does is it installs PyMongo, but it also installs a couple of optional extras that allow you to talk to Atlas specifically. So Atlas uses these URLs that are Mongo plus SRV, and it needs an extension to deal with those SRV URLs. So that's what this is doing. There's some other extensions you can install alongside PyMongo, sort of by sticking them in the square brackets, but SRV is probably the most common one.
Okay. And the other thing we've seen here is a warning about pip versions. Is that something that we need to worry about, or can we just carry on ignoring it blissfully?
No, it's not something you need to worry about. You can ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as Diego talked about Xcode, it just gave me PTSD because I was in Germany to give a talk on Xamarin a couple of years ago, and a couple of hours before I went live, Visual Studio for Mac update came out, and normally they're really stable. So I was like, I'll be fine, just install it. But then I completely forgot that you also have to, every time you update Visual Studio for Mac, the versions of Xcode have to match, because that's where it gets all the iOS related build tools from. So I had to update the Xcode, except I'd installed a beta version of Xcode from a developer portal. So then I couldn't even find the update on App Store. And
oh no!
Oh, it's okay. I got through it, but I just ended up writing a blog post about why you shouldn't update your development environment before you give a talk.
Just a source of material.
Yeah. Right, and while I think about it, we're gonna reshare the link to that word cloud. Should hopefully work now. But yeah, so that word cloud, just go in, drop what you know about Mongo, and as you learn more, you can always write more. There's no limitations on how many times you can make entries. So yeah. Give a talk about the ways not to give a talk. Yes.
That could be a very funny talk.
Yeah, and just gather stories from people. Just imagine the Twitter thread. So tell me about all your live coding nightmares. Not live coding, live talk nightmares. So we've done that. And then we also need to use a library called python.m to load configuration. I know anyone that's done JavaScript, so Joel will be able to relate to this. There's a node module called .m, so that's very familiar. So we can install that as well. Let's clear this out because that warning looks super scary.
What was the shortcut to do that in the terminal? Was that just a Control-L or?
I just took the word clear.
Oh, okay, cool.
This is the new, well, I say new, it's not so new anymore, but this is the new Windows terminal that's all open source. And this is the, you can pick different environments. So I've got Cloud Shell, Ubuntu, because I've got WSL2 installed. So I could even do that and switch to things like this. And actually, one of my personal
I automatically just bring up the Ubuntu window. I'm really not very competent in the PowerShell window.
Yeah, you can actually go into settings on this if you ever use Windows, and it loads a JSON settings file, and you can tell it you just move the object for that specific environment. So Ubuntu terminal in this case, move it to the top, and that'll make it the default.
I did.
I like
kept
it. One
overwriting
thing I did was right. I'll make it fail because I don't want to install anything, but. I got used to Mac so much that when I finally had a Windows machine actually capable of development, I made sure I had Homebrew. Yeah, because the two things I missed from Mac development that just became automatic muscle memory was Vim, because that's automatically there out of the box on Unix systems, and Homebrew. It just makes everything easier.
Homebrew is an awesome bit of software.
Yes. But no, I really like the new terminal, but it just supports some. I'm not sure if this is a terminal thing or because this is PowerShell core. which is the newer version of PowerShell, but it just supports some of these that previously wouldn't have worked. I think at once upon a time had to, I think it's CLS, but clear now works.
That's why I can get by on it. It's because as commands like ls and things like that all work mostly.
Yes. Yeah, and I hate it when it moans at me that you have to do dir. I always forget, and I'm like, no, it's ls. Like,
yeah.
ls, for those who don't know, is how you list like directories or files in the directory you're currently in. Cool. So, did we get around to doing? Yes, we did. So we've installed python.env. Now we get to set up a MongoDB instance. It's serious coding time.
That's so exciting.
Woohoo! So our MongoDB cluster's finished setting up. Yep. And yeah, that's it. You see a green button at the bottom left saying get started, bring up a checklist of steps. Click on them, including load sample data. Okay, we can do that. So the getting started is not there anymore, but I happen to know that if we click the 3 dots or ellipses here, we can click load down sample dataset. So what that will do is it will just bring in a load of data. So there's collections pre-populated. There's ones on like companies, movies, all sorts of different things. So if you just want some sample data just to try Mongo, or because you're trying out, like we're doing, trying out the connection between a driver and your data, don't need to worry about having data at that point. We just give you some sample data to use. It's great. Yes, there you go. I prefer when speakers read their slides word for word. I hate that.
Yeah. I can read faster than I can listen. Yes.
The problem as well is that people, if your slides are too wordy, then people read the slides rather than listening to you. So every now and then I have people who might show me a presentation. I always just try and teach them the basics of you don't need to write everything that you're going to say on a slide. Sometimes even just a picture will do. But I guess having the confidence to not have those prompts right there on the slide takes a bit of practice, but it just makes it more interesting. I don't know about you, but I've been to a lot of talks over the years because I just really enjoy learning, and you learn a lot from some really good speakers.
Yeah, there are some people who just seem to be naturally amazing speakers, and then you discover that actually most people really put the work in to become good speakers. You know, it's like practice, and
yeah, I'll confess there's been a few times where I've given talks where I finished the slides on the day that I gave it, but that's when it's on a subject that I feel confident enough about that it'll be okay. But you can tell most of the time when people haven't practiced. So
yes. Yeah, my talks are always so much better just the second time. So even if I can just get one go through.
Yeah, that is living life on the edge. Yeah, I'm giving a talk at a user group in Liverpool in a few weeks because their speaker dropped out, and the organizer I went to uni with, he reached out to me and said, "Oh, are you available to step in, or do you know someone who can?" So I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." But this one I'm actually going to practice. Like I'm going to try and get the talk done next week. Then I've got an extra week or so to just keep practicing it and getting feedback. Shuri says, my ideal is a week between finishing the slides and giving the talk. Yes, that's what I'm hoping to do with this talk. It'll be my first talk representing MongoDB, but also my first talk on MongoDB. So it's pressure to do a good job.
I could come down to Liverpool. I could come and sit in the audience. That'd be great.
It's virtual, so you can come sit by yourself if you like.
Well, maybe I'll come along anyway.
You should. It's the more the merrier. I spoke at this same user group a couple of years ago in person, and it was just a really good group of people. Good questions, good turnout. It's what you want, really. Yep.
Definitely. I'm just going to move my hand up to the screen.
Set.
I'm just trying to fix the focus on my camera. Excuse me. I'm slightly blurry and it's bugging me.
That gets a heart. Nice comments get hearts.
Oh.
Isn't that lovely? Okay, so we've got a sample data set, and what's cool is we can show off that MongoDB extension. So if we go into, I know it's not in the tutorial, but if we go back to here, if we click connect, it should give us a, The first time you do this, you just say, hey, where do you want to be allowed to access it from? I'll just say everywhere because I can always delete this cluster afterwards, so we don't need to worry about security. But we'll create a quick user and is this in the steps? Am I jumping ahead? There we go. We are. I get really excited because this stuff's so good. I just want to tell everyone about it. So we can create a user. So following the getting started steps, create a user with read and write access. Okay, username and password of your choice. Okay, we'll call it. We'll call them Learning Buddy because that's what we need a Learning Buddy.
Typing in the password live on air.
Okay, no one knows what it is, and again, this cluster can be always be destroyed after this, so it's okay.
Yep. You can also set up the user to time out after a certain period of time automatically, which is, I think, is a really neat feature.
Oh, so we've got one here about MongoDB Live. So for those of you that don't know, .live is our purely online annual conference, which is happening next week.
Yep.
I'm not involved because I joined the company too late to be involved, but I'm still going to be attending. And lots of, I know Lauren's speaking. I don't know about you, Mark, but it's going to be lots of great content.
I'm giving a Rust talk, and I'm running the web and back-end development track.
Nice. Yeah, so I can't imagine it being a disappointment. I've witnessed firsthand all the hard work going into it behind the scenes, so I have no doubt it's going to be amazing as always.
Yeah, there are some absolutely fantastic looking talks on the agenda. I'm really looking forward to it.
So we've allowed the IP address. Then we need to connect to it. So collect your application. Okay. So when you do this, you've got the option of how you connect. So you can either connect from the shell, which is that CLI terminal based connection I was talking about before. You can use Compass, which is our GUI, which again is super cool. Or we can do it from an application. So there's lots of, you can see here, we support loads of languages. But today we're going to do Python. I guess I'm going to have to find some willing victims, guests, to come and talk me through the different languages for these different drivers.
I don't think Rust's in that list, is it? And that is an official driver, so we need to get that in.
Well, there we go. You're going to have to take it up with the team behind this page, aren't you?
Yeah.
So we're on 3.7, so it'll be 3.6 or later.
That will be absolutely fine. The latest version in there is, yeah.
Cool. So we're going to copy our things. Obviously, we'll have to replace the password later on, but that's okay. Step 2 as connection string only. Yep. Save it to the same place you stored. I didn't save it. That's up here. I can't save the connection string up here, but. So what is the perks of being on Windows? If you do Windows key V, you have you can't see it's off screen, but that way. But I've got a technically it's that way for me, but that looks weird to you. It's clipboard history. A lot of people don't realize it's there, but as of newer versions of Windows 10, you can do Windows key V and it will bring up clipboard history. Nice. So it's super helpful. So yeah, you don't need to save it because it's already there.
I did not know that existed. I've got PowerToys installed, which means that when I hold down the Windows key, I get like a load of shortcuts. It tells me what all the shortcuts are for different things, but it doesn't have V in there.
I've got PowerTools as well, and my favorite is Windows key, Shift and C, which gives you a color picker.
Oh. That's not in the shortcut, the cheat sheet either. I have to go and learn what the ones that aren't in there are.
But for someone because I make mobile apps and stuff, I get a lot of inspiration of how things should look or pretty colors from things that I see. So color picker is super helpful.
All right, we're all learning today. Learning with Luce.
See, yeah. Yeah, so PowerTool is one of the best hidden secrets of Windows. Yeah, technically I think you actually have to Google it first. I think it's on GitHub. You have to download it. It's not built into Windows.
Really should be built in. Yeah, I just don't understand why it's not built in.
We're going to need a bigger cheat sheet. Okay, so what I'll do is I will do a new window off screen, and I'm going to paste that in, and I'm just going to put the password in. It's going to be, here we go. So we get to write some actual code now. Woo! So
it does feel like there's a lot of setup, doesn't it?
Yes. So now we need to create a Python file in our project directory. Okay. We'll do that from terminal. So we're going to make, I think touch will work. So we'll create, call it, is it basic operations? Yeah. Basic operations.py. Oh, no, fine. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way, which is...
not all those Unix commands work. Then we get the new, okay. Do you trust the authors of this folder warning?
Yes. So we're going to add a file now, which is basic operations.py. There we go. We've got those pretty icons. I love it. So we haven't put for a while, which is just in celebration. I'm just going to send one emote in chat. There we go.
Oh, very good. Did you know that Python is not actually named after the snake? It's named after Monty Python.
I did. But it's just a very useful emote for representing Python, because I don't think the ASCII people that come up, or whoever's in charge of emotes, has one for Monty Python.
That's true. Although, yeah. Is there a foot? I don't know. I feel like a foot would work.
Or spam.
Spam.
Okay, so we've got our file, and now apparently we have some code to paste. Okay. Oh, this we needed later. Okay. So we'll copy this first, and then we'll talk through what it's doing, because I'd quite like to understand it too.
Okay.
So import, I guess, is a bit like using statements in other languages. It's just saying bring in these libraries. Then from this specific libraries, just import the specific parts. I guess it's just to do with, you don't need everything, just get me these specific bits.
Yeah, absolutely. So import datetime gives you access to the datetime module under a variable called datetime. But sometimes those modules, like the .env library, just contains a function called load.env, and so I didn't need anything else. So I'm just pulling the load.env variable.
Oh, nice. Yeah, okay.
Space. So pretty much what you said.
Yes. And also 10 out of 10, there's comments to explain what's going on.
There's a bug in this code. So I just wanted to make sure I was quite clear about what's happening with the variables that are being imported, because then we have to fix one of them.
Okay. So we've got to load code from a .env file. That doesn't exist yet. That's okay. I guess we'll create that next. Then we're saying our client is going to be a Mongo client, and it's going to pass it. It takes the connection string, I guess, which is what this MongoDB URI is.
Yeah. So what this is, the load.env file actually looks for a .env file and then loads it in, but it copies the values into the sort of global environ dictionary. So normally that just contains environment variables, but because we're using this .env library, it's also copying in the contents of that file.
Well, that's clever. Ooh, I was just checking. We have some words in the word cloud, so I'm gonna share the link to the word cloud again. As I said, if I'll share the results at the end, as long as people keep it family friendly and professional. Oh, there we go. Cool. That's beautiful. Okay, so we've got that. So I guess the next step, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, is going to be to set the URI. So if I've actually got something super fun here that I'm going to quickly add in, because I think our friends in chat will like it, which is is it display capture? It's not work. It does work. No, never mind. So when I stream normally, I have a really cool filter that pixelates the screen so that if I want to show any secrets, it hides the secrets.
And you've detailed how it works on your blog, haven't you? Because I copied it last week.
Yes. I said I learned from someone else, but I always try and share. There you go. So Diego's asked, why do the last imports have that from?
So they're just importing a single thing from inside the module. So in cases where you don't need more than one thing, it's like it doesn't, for example, could you scroll up a little bit just so we could see that code again?
There you go.
So the .env module contains a function called load.env. And so if I did an import.env here, it gives me a variable called .env. And then I could call that function by going .env period load.env. And then with the brackets, but that's it's quite long and it's, there's no good reason for it. So instead what I'm doing is I'm just reaching into the .env module and then pulling that function into my namespace. So then I can just call it as load.env without having to go through the namespace.
Cool, there we go. Okay, so we've got to the magical bit now, which is add a .env. That's okay. We're not going to put this in Git a Git repository on this occasion, but this is very good advice. User secrets, don't ever put them. Either put them in your Git ignore, or what I sometimes do in some of my repos is you can create the file and you can put placeholder text in there, but then you can add it as assume unchanged as an index in your Git so that it never picks up the changes. So the file exists, but it never writes over it. So here, I've just got placeholder text. So people can say, oh, it needs to go here. But
I think your bandwidth has dropped a bit. I think it's kind of expanding about 5 pixels for the whole of your screen. Is anybody else getting that in the chat? Can
hopefully
other people
not.
read this? Yeah, Lauren's nodding, so I think it's not just me. It's come back a little bit since all the movement's gone, but it's still it's like a.
Hopefully it will balance itself out.
Yeah, Joel says he's getting the same problem. I think it is getting better, but it's difficult to tell because obviously you've stopped switching screens and things, so it's just gradually improving what's on the screen.
It's hard to tell as well because I'm not using because we're using not using OBS like I normally would. OBS will give me stats. I don't know about drop frames and stuff.
Okay, try now. It's just come up to much better resolution than it was before. So I think
I'm
good to go.
So for those of you that want to laugh, I'm actually using tethered to my 5G iPhone.
Don't move it.
It's okay. It's wired. It's fine. But no, where I live, shockingly, the internet is that terrible. You wouldn't think so. I live 2 miles out on what most people in the Americas consider downtown. I shouldn't have such terrible internet, but I really do. So I tether my phone to stream and do my job every day. Okay, but yes. Now that people can see, essentially I just have placeholder text, and then once I've submitted that into the Git repo, I then run a Git command that just says to it, hey, don't just assume that this never changes. So then I can add the real API keys in without doxing myself, as we call it. So you can either do the add it to Git ignore, or you can do I know I've seen a few JavaScript based repos where they have a .env example, and then they say, right, create your own .env.
That's what I usually do. Just tell people to copy an example file.
Yes. So it's saying it copies it. So we need to create a .env file. So what I'll do is I will just temporarily move the window so that we can't accidentally reveal the secrets. So I'm going to add a file called .env. I need to call it. So I need to. So do we need to do it as? Oh no, that's the export, isn't it? So correct.m file and paste in the configuration. Okay.
Yep.
So it needs to be that. All the way to the end. That. There we go. Save that. Close it. And then bring it back so everyone can see. There we go.
Well done.
So you've got super secrets. Normally on mine, I'd have a secret screen, but it didn't seem to look quite right. So I'll configure that for the future.
That's the one thing that really scares me about Twitch streaming. Just giving away the secrets. Although giving away the URL to an empty database isn't such a...
No, and the other thing as well is that a lot of companies now, I know Twilio does it. I think we do the same. Is that they make it really simple to redo your keys or whatever if you accidentally reveal too much. I've had to do that a few times where, especially if before I had the secret screen, I would just. It's so easy in Twilio, for example, which is something I stream quite often. It's so easy to recycle your API keys or secrets that I would just reveal them and it's fine. I'm going to recycle it at the end, and then it didn't matter anyway.
Okay,
so we've done that. So we've got that connection string, and it provides the host name, username, and password. And once it's got those details, it will connect, and it should start. We saw from the code. It lists all the databases. So it's saying that if we run this now, we should see the list of collections. So let's see. If we do that, let's see what we get. Oh, thinking about it. What was that?
Ooh, an error. No module named .env. Okay. So, have you activated? No, you haven't activated the virtual environment in this.
Oh,
console.
yes. Okay, let's do it from the other terminal because we did activate the. So if we do Python 3, we do. There we go. So we do it from this terminal, which is.
Apparently not. Okay, let's debug this. So
yes, let's learn how to debug Python because I don't know.
So the first thing to do is just work out what's installed inside pip, and you can do that by running pip. Yep, and if you type freeze, it's pip space freeze. That will just give you a list of everything that's been installed. And we have .env. So I'm going to assume that this pip belongs to a different distribution of Python to the one that you're running. So maybe you've got Python 3 and pip 2. So could you try Python 3 space -m? So this is going to run a module. It's okay. Pip. So this is going to run pip, but it's going to make sure it runs the pip that belongs to Python 3. Space and then freeze. And then hit return. Oh, so we haven't installed anything into this Python distribution.
You've seen this? Diego has no faith now whatsoever.
Well, Diego was right. This is actually why, when it said that you needed to upgrade pip, it didn't say run pip upgrade pip. It said run Python 3 -m pip upgrade pip.
Okay.
So it's sort of the official way to run pip. So
earlier we had.
So this is an improvement I can make in the blog post. But
what we actually need to do is that.
Yes, that's exactly correct.
And what we also need to do is the previous one before that, which was that.
Indeed. That's really good. That's I obviously explained that, so it made some sort of sense.
Yes, you did.
It's an absolutely horrible thing. that this can happen, that you can end up with your path in a situation where it's like you've got pip for one distribution ahead of Python of a different distribution. There we go. Woo! So
pointing on a green screen, it's so awkward. I'm pointing
Yes.
like because of the whole mirroring thing. I'm actually pointing away from it, which is what makes it more confusing.
I switched off the mirroring for Zoom at least, so that I can.
Yes.
I mean, it makes it difficult to work out.
So now, if we run our application, it should work. Yay!
Yes. So that's a list
team.
of the sample
Remote
databases that
high
you loaded in. Yeah, remote high five.
There we go. So that's it. That's a good lesson there. That yes, you can get caught out by differing versions.
Shall we go and check the word cloud? I think there's some words in it now. Lauren's keeping an eye on things.
Got some good ones. Do we want to say what do the people want? Do a quick like not vote, but do you want to see the result of the word cloud so far, or do you want to wait for the end?
If we see the results now, will it affect the end result?
Well, this is the thing. We don't want any kind of we don't want to influence our friends in chat. Oh, okay, Lauren wants us to show them. Okay. Well, Lauren's very kindly here to support and make sure everyone's behaving themselves. So the least we can do is listen to Lauren. So let's do it. So far we have. If I move it over here, zoom in a bit. Ooh, wrong way.
Ooh.
We have,
keyboards.
Yes, we've got JSON, GG, keyboards, convenient, a love heart, document DB, connection, general purpose. No migrations, Atlas, Monty Python, document, great, reliable, fun to use, shards, and easy to use. Well, that's very interesting. Oh, we've got BSON as well now. Atlas, ISO date. Interestingly, someone said shards, but we haven't actually talked about shards.
No, I think I blurted the word shards out at one point, but we were talking about transactions at the time, and I was trying to say that transactions now work on sharded clusters.
Yes. So for those that don't know and are wondering what a shard is essentially a way of grouping but distributing your data. So it might be that you've got a collection of names, and they do like a shard for A to E, a shard for F to J, and so on. And yes, shards is a fun word. Does it mean like shards just makes you think of things like crystal and glass? So does that mean that when we when things break, we're smashing it with a hammer?
It's certainly like
word cloud.
And now that we're talking about the word shards, I'm starting to think that isn't a good word at all. It implies brittle. I have to come up with a new word.
But yeah, but shards is like lots of little pieces, isn't it? So I get it. Maybe that's what we need to do. If there's ever a part of like .live, if there's any interviews with anyone from like the product side of it, we should ask them where the name shards came from.
I think it predates MongoDB, to be honest. It's kind of an older database technique, but MongoDB makes it like relatively easy to shard. I found my new personal favorite, best database ever. I like our friends in chat. They've got good opinions. Oh, there we go. Yeah, shards is an industry term. There we go. See, it's learning with Loose. We're learning yet more. But yeah, beautiful. So I will hide the word cloud again, but we'll keep sharing the link to it regularly. And so if anyone wants to take part and vote, by all means do. So if I share, I've got the link to vote. Here we go. There we go. Yeah. So keep voting, keep adding your words in. As I said, as long as it's family friendly, we'll keep sharing the word cloud. I'm sure everyone here is much more mature and professional than that, but you just never know when you give people the free-form box. Okay. So we've got our data back. This is good. This is all the collections we get from the sample. Admin and local are also collections that you get.
But the main ones, obviously, the ones prefixed with sample underscore. And some good stuff in here.
I really like the Mflix database. It's
Yes.
it's a subset of the IMDb
So
database.
IMDb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just got some cool stuff in there. Yeah. I think we may see some of it soon.
Nice. Okay, so we've got it connected. Woo! And we've listed the databases. We've got past any problems. Yep. So we list the database names, but there's other bits of info that we can get. So the Mongo client instance can also be used as a mapping, like a dictionary, to get a reference to a specific database. So this one will give us the ability to look at the collections inside the Mflix database. Okay. So we can copy this, and as always, we'll copy it and then we'll paste it, and then we'll go through what's happening. So we've listed all the databases before, so we don't need to do that now. So we're saying that our database is going to be the sample Mflix database that we're passing the name to the client. So that should get a reference to that database. Then for that database, list all the collections. Oh, yes, I'm mistaken. We listed the databases before, not the collections.
I make the same mistake all the time as well, and it's not like I don't know the difference.
That's refreshing. I'm making these mistakes live on the internet. This is not going to do me any favors come performance review time. I like Diego's responses. He can come here more often. Copy and paste driven development is my kind of development. Don't listen to the hipsters.
That's how we all develop.
What are you talking about? Did we not all make our careers out of copy and paste from Stack Overflow, just blindly copying whatever we find in the answers?
Well, I'm a bit older, so it was Experts Exchange is how I started my career. But Stack Overflow is much better.
Okay, so if we try this now, it should just list out all the databases. So we'll try it and see.
Adrienne thinks I'm the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
I do feel a little bit like that.
Yeah, well, it was just, I know it's kind of a strange having you like there as a floating head, but the reason for it is that I have for those interested, I have a super wide monitor, and so the only way to have a resolution that was actually visible to people in chat was to share just a window, because StreamYard doesn't allow you to pick a portion. And you've seen how often we've switched between terminal, browser, and VS Code. It would have been a nightmare. So I just cheated and used my normal OBS setup from my personal streaming to just have me as a magical camera and with extra leaves for company. See if we can catch one. Ooh, not quite. Goes behind the chair. Never mind. You're supposed to ask those kind of questions.
No, I don't think you are supposed to ask those kinds of questions.
Oh, yeah, no, don't worry, Adrian. I didn't think you were complaining. I was just... in case anyone else was thinking the same thing and wondering why we're different, that's why. And this is just hacky, basically. Oh no, that's not what we're meant to do. Meant to run this. So now we should get back what's inside Mflix. There we go. So we've got theaters, spelled like American, movie, session, comments, and users. Woo. Wonderful. So that code worked. So your year-old code is still valid for now. Mark hasn't messed it up yet.
Not so far, but soon.
You never know. Okay, so we've got that. That worked. Yeah, we got back it was in a different order, but we got back the response. I like it, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm being heckled in the YouTube chat.
What's my VS Code theme? That it is. Good question. I don't actually know. I think it's a variation on Pine Gap. Let me have a look. There we go. It is, IU Mirage, which is there's a VS Code, not a VS Code, a Visual Studio theme called Pine Gap Dark that I really like, and that's based on this IU Mirage. So I'll write it in chat. There you go, because I must admit, give them credit, that wasn't the most user-friendly color contrast there to make it readable.
I developed my own MongoDB VS Code theme recently, just for myself.
Oh, nice.
It's mainly for slides.
How come the rest of us haven't seen it?
I just haven't kind of finished it, basically.
Okay, fair enough. I'll let you on. But we could, if it works, we could make my VS Code theme always the Mongo theme every time I do Learning with Loose.
Yeah. I quite like the amount of colors that you've got in here, though. It's quite nice. If you stick to the sort of official MongoDB colors, you start to, there's lots of green in there.
Well, yeah, so that's why I'm wearing a Twilio t-shirt, because yesterday during our tech check, I realized that wearing a t-shirt with a green leaf on it gives me a hole in my chest with a green screen. So we just support others instead. So what else have we got? We're never going to get to the end of this post at this rate. We're having too much fun.
Sorry.
No, nothing to apologize for. I'm having a great time. We're just making sure that you don't have anywhere better to be.
So I worry that I talk too much at the best of times.
No, not at all. And everyone else is interacting, so I'm assuming they're having fun too. Okay, so database also behaves as a mapping of collections inside that database. A collection is a bucket of documents in the same way as a table contains rows in a traditional relational database. Yep. Again, there's I don't know if we've got a banner for it actually, but there's oh yeah, we should do this if you want to follow us along on Twitter. Come hang out with us. But yes, there's Lauren, we shared it earlier, I don't know if we still got the link to a series about from tables to documents. So if you're someone who's very much used to traditional relational databases, it's a good mapping of terminology. So we now can look up a single document in the movies collection. Okay, so this is a new one. We're gonna print nested data using something called pprint. We're going to get a reference to the movies collection, and then we're going to get one that's specifically called blacksmith. Okay. So let's paste that in. So we've seen that list before. You're doing that Windows key instead of Control. So this should get one called Blacksmith Scene. I don't even know what that film is, but then I don't watch many films, so.
Well, you'll see when it prints it out. It's quite interesting.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm spoiling it here. Let's run this again.
So pprint is a really neat function you can import. It's distributed with Python, and it just makes sure that everything's formatted nicely. It's like indented JSON, but it's actually Python structures. Nice. So yeah, this is a 1-minute movie from 1893. I didn't even know there were movies in 1893. But yeah, there's a blacksmith hammering on an anvil, and then he stops, wipes the sweat from his brow, has a beer, and then goes back to hammering on the anvil again. It's like a TikTok video.
I love it. I could never really get into TikTok. I think I posted one really badly made TikTok when I swapped all my mugs out for a matching set from IKEA. But other than that, I don't even think I've got the app installed anymore. I'm not cool enough to be on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't think TikTok's for me either. But, we have some people in the team who are pretty successful. Lauren produces some TikTok videos from time to time. Those are kind of fun.
Blasphemy. I don't know. Well, there we go. Yes, we go follow on TikTok. We'll leave that up for a minute so people have got time to remember that.
I'm British. We don't do full-on enthusiasm. There has to be a qualifier at the start.
Does that mean that I'm not really British? Because I get really excited.
Possibly. You're also ruining my excuse.
Well, I quite like Lauren's TikToks. I have seen them because they get tweeted.
They are
and Lauren's one
fun.
of the people who's on my list of if they tweet, Twitter is told to tell me about it. So
I have to turn my sound on and everything, usually.
Oh yeah, I'm one of those people, like you'd think I was an old grandma sometimes. Like my phone lives completely on silent, like it doesn't even vibrate. It's just on silent. So yeah, I often have to turn the sound up on things, otherwise I don't hear it. Now we're both getting roasted.
See?
I love it though, it's great.
I think we've upset Lauren somehow. I'm not sure what we did.
Hey, speak for yourself. I listened to her earlier and showed the word cloud just because she asked for it.
I think maybe we waited too long.
Okay, so we got them. So we got one movie back, and we saw this result back. Yep. Nice. Oh yeah, there you go. You explained exactly what it was.
Yep. 130 years. Ugh.
Wow. Oh yeah, so we looked up. We used the title. So we said search the field title for the property blacksmith scenes, and that's what we passed as like a filter to our query. So that's good.
Yeah. And because we're using find one, if there'd been multiple movies called blacksmith scene, it would have returned just the first one that it found in the database.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be quite interesting. So I guess, but how does it decide? Because things like this is a shameful kind of thing to know, but the first film I thought of that I know has two versions released at different times is Parent Trap.
I used A Star Is Born because that's been remade 4 times.
Okay, but when it's stored, is there like default behavior that it will happen with like a collection where the default it will set? I guess it'd be ID, wouldn't it? Underscore ID or.
Yeah, there's no kind of. I don't think there's an actual implicit ordering to collections, so you can't really tell. It just depends kind of what order the data was loaded in. Yes,
yeah, I did think it was. Is it first? Is it first in, first out? I think.
I'm not entirely certain, but also if you're using Mongo import, it loads in multiple threads, and so actually the order that it loads the documents in from a data file isn't going to necessarily be the same if you run it 2 times in a row.
Yes. Okay, so what we were really touching on is that we could end up down a horrible rabbit hole right now, and we should move on swiftly while we still can.
And yeah, Shiri is really coming up with the main point here. It's like if you don't put an ordering in, you don't know what you're going to get. So if you do care about getting the earliest one, kind of stick an index on date if necessary, and put an order on date, and then you'll always get like the first one that comes back.
Yes. Oh, quick diversion. You couldn't possibly get distracted. What are you talking about? Okay. So yeah, it's often described as JSON, but yes, it's actually binary form of JSON or binary-like JSON-like binary data. And that's what I really like about this document stuff is it looks like JSON, but actually it's more powerful than JSON, supports many more different data types, like mentioned here. Yep. It can do integers, floats, strings, arrays, dates. So you can actually store documents in documents.
Yep, totally. It's also what I didn't mention it in the blog post, but there's a decimal type as well, which is a fixed point type that's kind of designed for dealing with, say, financial data, where you don't want to use a floating point because they mess with they're not entirely accurate data structures for. Yeah. See, I want to say floating point numbers, but that's not what I mean. Real numbers, numbers with digits after the decimal point. So yeah, that's obviously really important if you're storing financial data in a database.
Yes, and you can store any kind of data in our databases. Don't be afraid.
Bye, Shiri.
Bye, Shiri. We're gonna create a document now. Yes. Nice, a film called Parasite.
You should watch that. It's amazing. I think it was the first foreign language movie to ever win an Oscar. So it's kind of shameful that it was released 2 years ago. But yeah, I only got around to watching it last year, at the end of last year.
Interesting.
It was really good.
It was released in 2019, but the year is 2020. But okay. But we're inserting the document with the plot and the release. So that's all the information it wants. And then we get back the ID of the. So when you insert these documents, unless you specify an underscore ID, like object ID identifier, it will also generate you one. So since we're not passing one in here, we're just assigning that auto-generated ID to the parasite ID, and then we use it in this print. So let's clear this off because we're getting.
I really like that when you're inserting. I really like that when you're inserting a document that it automatically hands you back the object ID.
Yes.
Just so you can get back that document if you want it.
Yes. So we've done. We're going to still want movies, to reference the movies database because we're still using it. So, there we go. So we insert it all. So if we save that and run it, it should come back and say, here's the ID for the nice, beautiful movie that you just created. Maybe not.
So here's my bug.
Okay.
So I accidentally
what have you done? Or is this one of those, it worked at the time?
I made a minor improvement to the code in one place and then not the other. So
okay.
Yeah, it was a mistake. So DateTime is a quite an old module in core Python. It handles all of the kind of it handles the basic data types for storing dates, date times, and timestamps. But it, as well as being called DateTime, it also contains a class called DateTime. So if you just import DateTime, then you can refer to the DateTime class by referring to it as DateTime.DateTime.
Yes. A
which
bit
you
like
could do
we were
here.
talking about to Diego earlier about why you did import from .env, import load.env,
Yeah, the slightly nicer solution is at the top you could put from DateTime, import DateTime, and then that line of code would work. But either of them is a solution, and you've just solved it. So
the option, don't worry, it's coming back. We're just doing from DateTime that.
You've got a D at the start.
There we go, and then we don't need to do that anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are both. Yeah, changing the import or changing the function call. Both should fix it. It was a silly mistake, and I think most Python developers have made that mistake at some point. So it's definitely one of those things that it doesn't necessarily get reported as often as it should do, as being a bug in the code, because people just go, "Oh, it's that. I've made that mistake before."
Let's. We're going to have a bit of fun. I'm going to move this out of the way so we don't reveal the secrets. We're going to connect with the MongoDB extension and see if we can poke around this collection. Because why not?
Ooh.
Just to see if we can see our newly added...
I think there's some Python code to look that up. I think that's actually the next bit of the tutorial, isn't it?
Okay.
Pull,
All right, doesn't want to work for me anyway. So.
Yeah. That's a shame.
It wasn't letting me paste the connection string for some reason.
Oh, I see.
So that's okay. Odd. We can stick to the script, as they say, and go back to the tutorial. Okay, so if you're inserting more than one document, it can be much more efficient to use the insert many. Yeah. No, there you go. So now we can read documents. So running the code will insert the document and print out its ID, but then we can use that ID here to fetch it out.
Yep.
Okay, so we want to import this. So this is one of those bring the import in, so we've got access to that functionality.
Yep. BSON contains the sort of the extra types that aren't native Python types. So things like object ID. Object ID is underneath the BSON namespace.
Okay. So if we copy this, add it to the end, because we still need to make use. We still need that ID first of all. We can take out the print because we know that it does it. Okay, so we generate that parasite ID and then use it to find it. And we're saying get the ID where the object ID is that ID that we created. So straightforward enough.
Yep.
If we run this now, we should get back print out. There we go. There's a description for parasite. Woo!
But the date's wrong.
It is.
If only we could update it somehow.
Is that the next step, any chance? Is that why you brought it up?
Foreshadowing.
Oh, wow.
Your resolution's going down
What are the
again.
lottery numbers for this week, Mark?
I don't know. I've never bought a lottery ticket.
I don't think I have either, actually. I always joke about, you always have those, what would you do if you won the lottery? But I never actually play it, so I'm never going to win. Okay, so the code above will look up a single document that matches the query. Yep.
Yeah. Your resolution went down a bit, so don't scroll too fast.
Everything. What was that?
Your resolution went down a bit, and it's just coming back, so don't scroll too fast at the moment. I think it's kind of sorted itself out now.
Okay, yeah. It's okay. It's just the internet telling me that we're working too hard.
Oh yeah, I'll stick that down in my notes for my meeting with my manager on Monday.
Okay. So find returns a cursor. Cursor will load data in batches. Okay, so if you start to query all of it, it'll return documents straight away. That's clever.
Yeah, I think by default it loads 100 documents at a time. But the way that Python works is you can still loop through it, so that you can stick it in a for loop and just loop through it as if it was all in memory. But what actually happens behind the scenes is it has 100 in memory, and when it gets to the end of those, it asks for another batch of 100 until it runs out of documents to go through.
Clever.
So you don't wipe out all the memory on your machine.
Okay, so it's saying that the following query should print one or more documents. If you've run your script a few times, you've inserted one document for this movie each time you run it. Yeah, so we did it twice.
Yeah.
The first time to generate the ID, and then the second time to go, well, wait, we need to use the ID now. So we should get two back. So let's have a look. What do we get? We get, let's put it in. Well, so we don't need to do that again. We can just do that. Save it. And if we run this, we should hopefully get back 2 instances of Parasite. If I can count.
Taking a while. Ah, there we go.
There we go. 1, 2. Oh, no, we've got 3 of them.
3, because you just run it a third time. If you run it again, you'll get 4.
I thought I didn't add it. I thought we just...
Didn't you add it?
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, I forgot to remove that. Yeah. Okay. So let's take that out and stop adding a movie that we don't need anymore. Sorry, Parasite, but you've already won an Oscar. What more do you want? Okay, so it's saying many methods in PyMongo, including the find methods, expect a query as input. So that's what we've done here. So for every document that you get back from the find, print it out. Makes sense.
Yeah, your resolution's dropping again.
I don't know why. I haven't done anything.
Just hit unreadable.
Well, hopefully it'll come back.
Yep.
It's okay. We're near the end. We're near the end anyway of this tutorial.
Yeah,
so.
we're getting there. We've just got. I think we've got an update and a delete to do, but it's
okay. Yeah, so we've done create, we've done read. We just need the other 2 parts of CRUD. We're only half cruddy at the moment.
Yeah, we're cur.
Okay, I'll scroll slowly.
Yeah.
It
is starting to come back.
Structures. Okay. Well, don't worry. We're reading it out loud anyway, so it's got time to recover while we read it.
If you want to insert any passwords, like now is the time to do it.
Yeah, but you imagine as soon as I put the password in, it will come back perfectly.
Oh, absolutely. In 4K. You're back now.
Okay, nice. Well, and we might be getting to the update bit in a minute. Then we're going to be the crew.
Yep. Grand crew.
Okay, so expect the query as input. Unlike SQL, they provide this data structures, not as a string. So that's why you see it here as the inside curly braces with the key value pair. The simplest kind of matches look like the ones above, which is key value, where documents containing the field specified by the key are returned if the provided value is the same as that document's value. Makes sense? MQL, or Mongo's query language, is rich and powerful, providing the ability to match on different criteria across multiple fields. The query below matches all movies produced before 1920 with romance as one of their genre values. Nice.
Yeah, it was a bit alien to me when I first moved to MongoDB, but quite quickly, once you sort of your eyes learn to read them, it's like it becomes really intuitive to build up queries as data structures. I really like it.
Oh, that wasn't something to paste. Oh.
So yeah, I don't know how to pronounce this username. Xaj2 says it never understood find as the name for this function, and you're correct. It does. If there's not an appropriate index, then you do have to do a full collection scan. But ultimately, what it's doing is it's looking for documents that, even in that full collection scan, it's looking for documents that match your filter and then returning those. So yeah, you just like any database, you just have to make sure you've got the appropriate indexes for the types of queries you're going to want to do. And this one I can't answer. So Solve Techie said that while iterating through a cursor in PyMongo, there's a small delay on exactly the 101st record.
I hit that question then. Sorry.
That's all right. I'll bring it back.
Okay.
No.
So this is the quality that you get coming to hang out with us.
So yeah, the delay occurs even if they increase the batch size parameter, and I can't say why. I haven't experienced it myself. Perhaps there's another parameter that's getting in the way somehow. I would be happy to look into it. Check out MongoDB community and kind of post your question there. And if I can't find out the answer, we can get the developers of the driver to look into it. And there is the URL for MongoDB community.
Ooh, yes.
So yeah, it's a great place to hang out anyway. People are asking interesting questions, answering interesting questions. It's just a great way to sort of organically learn more stuff about MongoDB.
Cool. So even more complex queries and aggregations are possible with MongoDB aggregations accessed with the aggregate method. Yes, that's definitely a topic for later, but aggregate's cool. It's like, imagine it like a factory construction line, like it's going through different stages and it evolves as you go along. So you have you start off with doing something at stage 1 of the aggregate, and then that generates you, and then it moves, whatever it's generating moves on to the next step. So it's pretty cool. Cool. Now we get to be a crew, Mark, because we're doing the update part.
Woo!
With the PyMongo crew. And then we get to be cruddy in a minute when we finish. So, oh no, you made a terrible mistake. The sound doesn't work, but I have a good sound effect on that I use for my streams, which is the sad trumpet.
I like listening to it live though. That's good.
Got to put my former music scholarship to good use, right?
Music scholarship. I was never.
I'm rusty, but I know the basics, and I can make stupid sound effects. Oh, there we go. See, past Mark already knew that we'd made a mistake with the Parasite. It was released in 2020, but it's a 2019 movie. Yes. So, but we can update it. That's okay. We can undo our mistakes and we can update it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why the database has the wrong release date. I think maybe that was the year it was released in the US rather than in Korea.
Okay.
But yeah,
you've been on Wikipedia, right? You can't trust the internet for anything.
I don't. We've got another comment from Jaj2 saying Compass is a great tool in combination with aggregation framework.
It is.
And Compass is a free IDE for building queries and looking into the data in your MongoDB cluster. Highly recommend it. It is seriously awesome.
Okay, so now we know how to fix this mistake. So, in fact, the ability to atomically update parts of a document without having to update a whole new document is a key feature of Mongo. Nice. So here's some code which will look up the document and update the year. Oh, that's cool. So you've got the update here that says, we'll paste it first because it's in bigger when we write it here. So yeah, so we're saying for the movie with the ID Parasite ID that we don't have anymore because I deleted that code. Oops. It's okay, we can just do a Control Z until we find what we want. There we go. Now we can paste that in. There we go.
Nice.
See, it's just all about Control C, Control V, and Control Z. That's how we get through being a developer. Or we don't like to exclude our Unix-based friends. Also, Command C, Command V, and Command Z. We include everybody here. We don't discriminate.
I actually grew up in the Middle East in Dubai, and I went to the local English-speaking school, which was run by 2 Scottish ladies. And for some reason, when we learnt the alphabet, we learnt Z, like the American Z instead of Z. It was very strange, and I got mocked for it when I moved to the UK.
It's okay. We're forced to spell colour without a U every time we write CSS. You get used to it.
Bilingual, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Though I learned an interesting fact a few months ago. I think it was that the United States of America is the only country in the world without an official language. Like,
really?
obviously, it's got like American English, but it's something to do with like, it was something like that. Anyway, it was something like that makes. I mean, there's plenty of people here that probably tell you that US is special, but it's something unique about it is that it doesn't have an official language. They just have their own version of English or something like that. Anyway,
interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first heard it. So we're saying for the ID with that Parasite ID of the document we've just added, that we're adding again, just update the year to be 2019. So it's leaving the whole rest of the document alone. It's just changing that one field. And I like that because if you did this in something like SQL, you have to update the whole thing and you have to say, do this. And in my last job, we did a lot with first Microsoft SQL and then PostgreSQL databases, and there was an issue with the table where if a certain version got updated, then it rewrote the table and a load of columns were null and they shouldn't be. So I'd have to go through and update them all. And I love the fact that this would just make it so much easier for me.
Yeah, if you don't have your filter right, then that kind of thing can happen. It's why update one is quite a nice. It's a safer function than update many.
Broke it.
What's worth noting, although it's not covered in this blog post, what's worth noting is that you can update multiple fields in different ways in a single document in one update one call. So we could set the year to 2019. We could increment like the number of update, like if there was an update counter or something like that. We could do both of those, and all of those operations are applied to a document atomically. So without having to have transactions across multiple documents or across multiple collections, you can still do atomic updates, providing you can keep your data together in a single document.
Yeah. Also, I just found a bug in your code.
No, you didn't.
Sorry, I found a learning opportunity in your code example.
What was the bug?
It didn't have bson.objectID, so it threw an error saying it didn't know what it was.
But this is actually a mistake in your copy and pasting. So if you remember, you pasted import bson at the top of the file, and then you did a bunch of undos to go back to the previous version of the file.
I checked that. Import bson was still there.
Oh, okay. In that case, it might be...
That's real team-friendly play right there. You just assume it's my fault. Did you see that, everyone? You just witnessed that.
I was attempting to really throw that back at you. I think maybe it's under the OID namespace under bson.
No, it's fine. It just needed a bson dot. That was all. It's fine now.
Oh,
see?
Wait, what? Oh, I see. Was it just object ID? I didn't do a from bson import. Oh, I've done it again.
See? And you assumed it was me. You've done nothing yet.
Sorry, Lise. I've
it's okay.
I've learned something important now.
Let's be honest, though. Most of the time, it probably would be my fault. I mean, I deleted too much code earlier and then broke it. So,
yeah.
But this is why it's learning with Luce, because we're learning together.
Totally jumped to the conclusion, and instead we should have investigated it together.
I could work out what it was straight away because the error was saying object ID is not defined. And I was like, oh, I bet you, because I thought originally that was because my undo had removed import bson, and then as soon as I saw it wasn't there, I was like, that the import bson was already still there. I was like, I know what it is. Yeah, exactly. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Said every developer ever to their project manager. Or the old classic, it works on my machine.
Oh, I'm in the middle of one of those problems at the moment where something works on my machine and not on somebody else's. And yeah.
Oh, yes.
Haven't solved that yet.
This is the common problem. You've probably inserted many documents for this movie. Yes. But, we can change all the years in one go. So for everyone that's called Parasite, set the year to 2019. We don't need to add one anymore. So we can do away with the create one. Don't need this anymore. Don't need the Parasite ID anymore.
It's worth noting that the tutorial didn't expect you to delete any code at any point.
Well, yes, I'm just.
There's just potentially you might not get the results that the blog post describes.
Okay, yeah.
If you're kind of cleaning up as you go, but we'll sort it out if it's a problem, which I don't think it will be.
Okay, that didn't do anything. Oh, it's because we didn't get it to print a result. We just got it to update the documents.
I think you're right.
So it's updated them all. And now we need to clean up after ourselves. So now we can delete all of them called Parasite. Okay. So it's saying there's also delete one, but we're going to do delete many.
Yeah, just cleaning up the database, of the collection after ourselves.
We don't need to update them anymore because we're going to delete them. So save that, run it. Cool. So now if we can do just to double check ourselves, we can do a find one. Just see what happens. Movie equals print movie. Can we do that?
So if we, yep.
Because I don't know Python, so I'm literally just making this up as I go along.
You do. You know Python. You've been doing great. Like seriously, you've
I just copy and paste and just try and understand it. Python, where are your semicolons? Yes.
I'm not getting into that.
As soon as
you start talking about that. Very good. There you go. There are no documents.
Beautiful. Would you look at that? And we've got to the end of it. Woo!
We have got to the end. So what are you going to do next?
Well, we've got. If we want to learn more, there's a university course that we can follow. So there's M220. This is part of a series, isn't it? So we've done the basic part. So then the next bit is getting started with aggregation pipelines. Nice.
I get really excited about aggregation pipelines because I just love them. They're so intuitive. You can build up really complicated things with them, but you can do it step by step. You don't have to kind of hold the whole query in your head in one go. Yeah, I just think they're amazing.
Have a look. We're not going to follow through this just before anyone panics. We're about to overload them with more content, but I'm just curious to have a look because if I'm curious, maybe other people are too. And we can pop the link to that. Yes, there is a similar series for Node.js. I've heard it's really good too. I watched it recently and it was rather good. Yeah, I get what you mean now about DevRel and the shame lobotomy. No, this is genuinely good content though.
No, that content gets really good reviews. So Lauren is right about the series that she wrote on using Node.js with MongoDB. So
having a quick look, so we've got some prerequisites.
Your resolution's gone down again, so can't read what you're.
See, this is what happens. We're trying to do scary stuff with aggregations. My internet's just like, no, Liz, no, don't go down the rabbit hole. We've been live for nearly 2 hours, no more.
Oh, it's starting to come back now, slowly.
There we go.
You can almost read getting started. MongoDB's aggregation.
Well, it's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect resolution anyway, does it? Because I was only briefly looking anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're back now.
Nice. So yeah, we can build up pipelines. Oh yeah, that's clever. Yeah, so you can do match, sort, and limit to achieve similar things to what we did with find. But the reason that you might be thinking, oh, why would you, if you can do a find, why would you do match, sort, and limit? But it's because you can then use that output to do more with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, aggregates, once you understand them, can be very powerful because you can. It's almost like building blocks, or like you're almost like writing proper code as part of your aggregation steps, because you can do everything from find me this data but save it in a new field, and then that new field can be used for something else, and it's awesome. Scary.
Each stage can kind of filter documents down, or modify the structure of a document, or annotate the documents, or even like in the case of group, you end up with a completely different document structure from kind of grouping together bunches of documents.
Break it, but I'm scrolling down because I'm wondering whether you shared the here we go, university course on aggregation framework. For anyone that's curious, go have a look at this link. University is all completely free, so go have a look. It's cool stuff. We ought to do shameless plugging again. There we go.
That's the same course as the last link. I think that's the wrong URL.
Oops, I didn't mean to find anything. Okay. Well, we know where to go. So MongoDBcom. Either I can't paste, or
it could be a bug in the post.
M121.
Oh, there we go. It's copy paste error.
See, it's not always you. I told you, it can be me as well.
Did you see though that I learned from my first experience?
Okay, let's try again.
There we go.
That should be better. There we go. So if you want to learn about aggregation frameworks, try the actual link. But there we go. We've done it, Mark. We made it to the end. See,
I really enjoyed that. That was really fun.
Oh, me too. I loved it. And I'm glad that I understood enough of what was going on to explain it as well, which is nice.
Yeah, really clearly. You're going to have to add that Python to your CV. It's been really interesting.
We've got something very special to do, actually, if you want to be around for the honours. I have a Python sticker.
Whoa.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some form of artwork. Every time we do a new language, as part of Learning with Luce, we can make some artwork to track the things that we've learned.
Nice.
So if I can get out some paper. Actually, speaking of shameless plugging, I have a MongoDB notebook. Move forward. There we go. So we can stick the sticker in the book, because then the book can be removed and we can stick it on the wall and make a pretty picture. So you just peel it off. All right, we'll do it live on stream. We will stick the Python sticker right there. There we go. We have officially learned Python. Woo!
Excellent. That was fast.
Yeah, there we go.
Been really interesting watching somebody go through the tutorial I wrote for the first time, and like I saw the way you were cleaning up, like naturally kind of going, oh well, I probably don't really want to keep that code in there and keep executing it each time. And that was something that I hadn't predicted when I wrote it. I thought, well, people will just keep on adding to the code, and then at the end I will show them how to clean up the data. But it's like that, yeah. I almost have to stick some sentences in there around.
Yeah, well, I think for me, just to kind of, if it's helpful, explain my thinking. It was like, well, we've shown how to do the read now, so we're doing create. We don't need to read it back because we've already done it. We're creating something totally separate, so we don't need to read anymore. So keep the code clean and readable, and get rid of the stuff we don't need anymore. But
yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been fun, and you've been a wonderful first guest.
Well, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed that.
Should we have a look at the word cloud?
Let's have a look at the word cloud.
It's getting quite big now. What new ones have we got? Better than relational DB. Yep. Has the best dev advocate. Who are you talking about? I'm sure it's you, Mark. I'm only 5 weeks into the job.
I don't know. Looking at the comments, it was Nick.
Well, whoever wrote that, we love you too. Got acid transactions, freedom from SQL. Awesome people work there. Atlas. What else we got?
We do have some absolutely wonderful people. I think MongoDB is it's the people.
Yeah, I mean, someone before I hadn't. So my way into working at MongoDB actually wasn't seeing a job listing and applying. It was a personal recommendation from someone external talking to Rita, who then introduced us, which is wonderful. So I hadn't thought about MongoDB that much, but then a load of people said to me, like, oh, even people like Scott Hanselman, who's massive in the Microsoft.NET space, say that MongoDB is a great place to work. And I'm like, sold. And it's true. 5 weeks in, and it's probably the best start to a job I've ever had.
Fantastic. Oh, we're glad to have you, certainly.
It's good fun. And we probably ought to shamelessly plug .live as well.
We should.
Do we have a banner
that was good
for
timing. Solve Techie has just said, see you all at MongoDB.live, which I was
absolutely,
echoing.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
The plan is next year to be involved, but this year I get to just turn up and enjoy it.
Yes. Next year won't be so relaxed.
And it might not be virtual either.
Oh, I hope not. No, I'm really looking forward to
.live
getting
might
back
become
to
.world again.
Yeah.
Can't wait. What before we go, okay, quick question for you, Mark, and everyone in chat. What MongoDB live talk or session are you most looking forward to?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to the whole web and back-end development track, which is like, it's one that I curated the talks for. So it's like, obviously I'm excited by every talk that's in that track, but it just like, there's just a whole load of really exciting content in there. And I can't remember one of them to pick out right now, but it's like, we also did balancing across all the tracks. So I have actually seen the talk titles for all of them. And it's just like, I wouldn't know where to spend my time if I was going to the conference. It's, if as a visitor, it's going to be so good.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I think for me, it's exciting because I'm so new to the company, but also so new to the products. For me, it's just a really, deep dive in at the deep end, just getting flooded with loads of really cool things about the company to get me excited. So I can get sort of, super excited about all the things that I'm seeing and then know, oh my God, I work here. So that's going to be great. See, I told you, I'm just terrible at being British because I just get really excited.
I think it's probably the best bit of being British that you could fail at. So, I think it's a good feature to be excited by.
I'm good at queuing.
That's definitely a national
We've got
skill.
lots of chat here. So we've got people excited for live. Lauren's excited for her own talk about building CI/CD pipelines. Yeah. I'm interested to see what CI/CD pipelines are being used because I use a Microsoft product called App Center, but there's also DevOps from Azure and all sorts of other ones, Jenkins, Circle CI. So that's exciting. Nick's looking forward to the gaming development sessions. They'll be quite interesting, actually, because... Oh, no, it's okay. The game development one should be quite interesting because Unity is one of those things that you admire from a distance because it seems like a really cool thing to be half decent at, but it's just scary complicated.
So just this is a diversion from us all talking about how great .live is going to be, but I saw this question come in and it's a good question. So PyMODM is an object document mapping library that sits on top of PyMongo. We built it at MongoDB. So there's another ODM that's very popular called Mongo Engine. We built PyMODM to be a bit more performant and to do things we felt in a better way. It never really took off. So it's actually not being actively maintained at the moment. We were looking for somebody to take over maintaining PyMODM, but nobody's come forward so far. So if you really like PyMODM, volunteer to help maintain the project. Internally, most of us don't use ODMs that much. So my answer would be to go for PyMongo, unless there's something specific that I would actually look at Mongo Engine as a fully supported library at the moment. But yeah, if there's something you really like about Mongo Engine, go for it. But otherwise, PyMongo actually offers many of it's more performant. It gives you access to all of the features of MongoDB, and potentially kind of doesn't have some of the pitfalls of using an ODM. There can be some weird bugs sometimes in the way that the mapping is done that won't happen to you if you're not working with a mapping layer. So yeah, that would be my answer to that one.
Awesome. Solve Techie was saying that they'll go to Lauren's session. So will I. It's going to be good. What else we got? Oh, we go. Katie's excited for yours, Mark.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Katie.
Are we allowed any cheeky clues, hints, surprises? Or
about my talk?
Be there? Yes. Get the people excited.
My talk is going to be as much about the cocktails as MongoDB. So if you're interested in learning some new cocktail recipes, definitely come along to my MongoDB and Rust talk.
Well, there you go. I don't really drink, but I guess you can do mocktails. You
can, and some of them are really good. I don't have any mocktail recipes in the talk, but happy to discuss that in a Q&A.
Nice. There we go. That's awesome. And look at the word cloud. It's doing great.
It's a really good word cloud.
And we're going to save this word cloud. We're going to keep it forever to share in our successes. I mean, the fact that someone decided to use the word cloud to say that they love us, we must have done a great job.
Well, I don't care if other people enjoyed it or not. I just really enjoyed it myself. So
yeah, me too. I can't believe it's been 2 hours. It's flown by.
I know. We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
Python and aggregation framework. Anyone?
Yes. Yeah. There we go. Who in chat? Well, 2 questions for chat actually. One, who wants me to do Learning with Loose again? We can have other guests. We can have other languages, of course. We can need to add up our pretty picture. I've probably got stickers for most languages, and I've got PHP, .NET stickers, possibly a Ruby sticker. So that's the first question. Do you want me to do another episode of Learning with Loose? And the second question, of course, is who wants Mark to come back in the future and we can do aggregations with Python?
Oh, this is going to be a really split answer, isn't it?
Well, it sounds like Solve Techie will have me back. So thank you, Solve Techie, if nothing else. There we go. You got a yes from Lauren. Woo!
See what I mean? Everybody's going, but that guy in the box, don't invite him back.
Well, isn't it a good job that I'm in charge, isn't it? So, there we go. Cloac has come back and said yes. Oh, controversial.
That would work, and Aaron would happily.
Yeah, but wait, does that mean that if they're harassing each other, that I've got to act as the referee? I don't want that kind of responsibility. I'm useless at social interactions. Things completely go over my head. So
sit back and enjoy the show, I think would be the answer. There wouldn't be a lot of learning going on.
With my mocktail that I learned from your .live talk.
Yes, this would work. Oh, we should have mocktails next time. Excellent. We can prepare this.
Yes. See, there we go. It's making itself. Beautiful. Well, there we go. We've got through the tutorial. We've got beautiful word cloud. We've made the art, and we've got excited for .live. What more can you really ask for? That
was a perfect Twitch session.
It really was. That was great. We'll probably be back. I think the plan at the moment is to do this monthly, to not completely overload everybody or my schedule. Well, the series is Learning with Luce, so the next session, every session will involve me. You're stuck with me, really.
I've upset Lauren again.
You need to stop upsetting Lauren, Mark. She's too important and lovely to be upset like this.
I know. She's one of my top 20 favourite MongoDB people. It's like I didn't want to upset her.
Well, she's one of my top 5, so...
This is fun. So when's your next session, Luce? Did you say you're going to do this every week?
It's not been officially planned yet because we wanted to see how this goes. It's been a success, so I'm sure we'll have another one. It'll probably be in a month. I think that was the initial kind of trial idea, was doing this monthly, potentially twice a month. We'll see what the friends in chat ask for. Yeah, and obviously I need guests, so I need to find people that want to join and who have the time to come and join.
Time is often the difficult thing, isn't it? But yeah, I look forward to that. That'll be great.
Yeah, I should have dropped that link to Cloax in chat, so they should be okay now. But there we go. That is beautiful stuff. We can draw this lovely stream to a close. Thank you to Lauren for moderating and being there on standby in case my internet gave up completely. My internet is such a roller coaster ride that yeah, I asked Lauren to be on standby in case anything went wrong and Mark was left on his own. But we were okay. See, Lauren's doing all these nice things for us, Mark. She weren't left on your own, and you can't even say nice things.
I did say nice things.
Kind of fun.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for joining us, all friends in chat. As always, you can follow Mark and I on Twitter. Lots of things we talked about. I've dropped the link to the blog post if you want to follow along. There's also community.mongodb.com, which is our wonderful community forums where you can get involved if you want to talk about this some more, learn some things, ask questions, just harass us in a different format. But there we go. It's been a wonderful Thursday. Everyone enjoy your afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And we will be back soon for more Learning with Luce. And of course, before then, I'm sure there's going to be more amazing MongoDB colleagues and friends showing up on the stream. So make sure to follow so that you can get involved. Bye, everyone. Bye, Mark.
Bye, Luce.